It's time to start your engines and be part of the conversation. You can always ask the experts, Raffi and Dan Rosenberg, because it's now time for Clutch Radio. The show starts now.
And here we are.
Here we are indeed. Good morning, Dan.
February of 2023, a date I have looked forward to for over 18 years. Because today is my son's 18th birthday.
And happy birthday. Happy birthday indeed. It's also 2/3/23.
2-4.
Oh, it's 4. Yesterday was 2/3.
Yes. And I told my son last night that on his 63rd birthday, it'll be 2468.
2468. We are very fascinated by the numeric combinations that do come up. There's that moment during the day when I will occasionally glance at the clock and see 427, 350, 327, 426, 429.
So they came up with all these engines.
All the cubic inch displacement numbers on a digital clock. I don't know why it matters, but it does.
Adam says, happy 18th, Josh. Thank you very much, Adam.
Yeah.
We're going to go get some Wingstop today afterwards.
Nice. Also, to jump in real quick on this little detail, you recall that last week we were talking about a number of different things, and I heard just was it yesterday morning? I think it was yesterday morning. Looks like Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, and there.
So what does that mean?
You don't know what that means?
Does it mean 6 more weeks or not 6 more weeks?
It means 3 more weeks. I think it's
3 more weeks. I thought it was 6 more weeks.
Is it 6 more weeks or 3 more?
You don't know either.
Well, maybe you only saw half his shadow.
You're like you don't know, and then you get it.
I know that he saw his shadow, and that means there's more winter.
I mean, all I know is
you're from Philly. How do you not know?
No, I'm not from Philly. I'm from Pittsburgh.
Oh, Pittsburgh. Still, it's the same thing.
Punxsutawney is neither Philly or Pittsburgh.
But it's in that state, isn't it?
It is in Pennsylvania.
All right, there you go. You're supposed to know this.
Oh, look at this. Jake's pickup on Bainbridge Island is watching, not just Jacob Angel.
There you go.
I like that. We get to see the logo and everything. Good morning, Jake.
There you go.
And no, Punxsutawney is out it's not in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, but it's outside of Pittsburgh. In the movie Groundhog Day,
yes,
Bill Murray's character was a weatherman in Pittsburgh.
There you go.
Pittsburgh Station, and they left Pittsburgh to go up to Punxsutawney, and he got stuck there for over 35 years.
Yes, and speaking of which, today I believe isn't today the Super Bowl?
No.
It isn't.
Super Bowl is on a Sunday. It's always on a Sunday. That's why it's called Super Bowl Sunday.
Sunday.
And it's always 2 weeks after the last game, which was last week. So it'll be next Sunday.
Next Sunday, not this Sunday.
I can't believe I'm educating Raffi on anything. This never happens. By the way, welcome to Clutch Radio.
Now hold on a second. The Super Bowl is the basketball playoffs. Is that right?
Perfect.
Okay.
By the way, we're not allowed to say Super Bowl.
We're not.
No, you're supposed to say the big game. This is such bullshit. Excuse my French. But there's a thing where they say, oh, you can't say Super Bowl because that's a trademark of the NFL. So you have to say the big game. And it's like, okay, well, here's the problem. What they mean is, because when I was on the radio in LA, they're like, you cannot say Super Bowl. And it was a big edict. Came down from CBS. You're not allowed to say Super Bowl, because we're not an official sponsor of the Super Bowl, and only official sponsors and advertisers can say Super Bowl.
Okay.
But if you're talking about an event that's called the Super Bowl, so I just talked about a really large bowl that we put soup in, or if we want to drink some soup or go bowling, what do you want to do? Soup or bowl?
Soup or bowl.
Right. So you could do that.
You could also call it that stupid football game that we're not allowed to mention. That would really help with their promotion.
Yeah, big game.
That overpriced football game.
Yeah,
we're gonna get hate mail from a football.
I only watch it for the advertising.
There you go.
The commercials are great. But welcome to Clutch Radio, where we talk about cars and other things, buying, selling, trading, leasing, credit, whatever. And today, another thing we talked about last week was there's an auction going on.
Yep.
For this beauty.
Yeah.
There are only 15 minutes and 57, 56, 55 seconds left. This is one that you are representing.
Yep.
On Bring a Trailer.
Yes.
It's at a bargain price right now. I hope it goes up a little bit more during the show. I hope there's because if you don't know how Bring a Trailer works, when the clock hits 0, if somebody bids with 1 second left, they don't snipe it and win it. It adds 2 minutes.
That's right.
So it's every bid in the last how many minutes?
In the last for however long there are bids coming in, just like a regular auction. If the auctioneer is saying going once, going twice, and somebody else bids, then they go back and they play the crowd for a little longer. But
at what point does it add to 2 minutes? Like right now, somebody bid when it's at 15 minutes. It's not going to go to 17.
That's correct. It's only in the last 2 minutes that
on the last 2 minutes it adds 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay.
And I've seen auctions last another 30 minutes with the last 2 minute warning continuing to click. Now, this example is particularly desirable because first off, it's a 521, which is the flat topped fendered version of the 520. And they didn't make them that many years before they did the 6. They moved up to the 6 series pickup truck. So these are desirable. That's the first thing. The second thing is these are very sought after when they're in original condition. And that is what this is. This is an original condition truck. It has not been repainted. It's not been refinished. Those are the factory finishes. It's been a work truck. So it's done.
It's honest too. It's an honest work truck.
It's an honest work truck.
It's not going to lie to you.
It's not going to lie to you. There's nothing hiding here. And this has been Pacific Northwest owned. I believe 4 prior owners, which is really unusual, including the first owner that was a landscape architect and did quite a bit of landscape work in Oregon. And then it moved to Washington, where it was also long-term owned. And then somebody, the third owner, bought it, he had seen the truck as a kid driving around the area where he and his brother grew up. And so he bought it and put a fresh set of tires on it. It had been sitting for a while, freshened up the motor, and used it as a truck, sort of like a second vehicle of his own. And so it's in excellent condition. Everything works on it. The lights, the turn indicators, the defroster, the heater. It's a great little truck. And for people who are looking for something that's very original and not been molested, not the engine hasn't been changed, it hasn't been updated, it hasn't been lowered, it hasn't been changed. It's really quite a nice little truck.
Now, I will say something that I noticed. It looks like the bed coloring is slightly different, but it looks like it's more polished. Like, did they buff out the bed a little with a different, like the inside of the bed you can tell is all original?
It's an excellent question. The history on these is that the cab was assembled without the bed and then delivered to the United States, and then the bed added. And I have to figure out the reason why it had to do with import duty and the costs associated with delivering a full and complete truck. So it's not uncommon that you'll see slight variation in the quality of the paint, and that I believe the Japanese version paint actually is the one that's the more durable. I think they painted the truck itself, the cab. I think that was the American part, and the bed was the Japanese part. So
very interesting.
Yeah. So it's not uncommon to see that variation.
See, I knew you'd have an answer.
Yeah. Well,
now the classic plate that's on it, that's actually something we could talk about a little bit, because I've gone. Oops, I got the green screen thing happening. I've gone and got a few of these plates. You provided me with the one that we put on the 79 Pontiac.
Yes.
And then you can also go out and get the sticker
Mm-hmm.
for the year.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't actually have to have, I found out. But it's okay if it does. But the law in Washington is if a car is 30 years old or older,
Mm-hmm.
you can take a plate from that period. So you'd have to have a plate from, like I just did it for the 84 S10 pickup truck that we drove or attempted to drive on the show once.
Yes.
And you pay once, it's a permanent registration, and you don't have to pay ever again. Now, you can't make it your daily driver. It has to be, according to the rules, it's supposed to be for show and leisure only.
Mm-hmm.
But if I find leisure in going to the dump,
Did you say going to or taking?
both. I said what I said. But if I find leisure in taking the recycling out, then that's okay, I would think.
The bottom line on it is if a law enforcement officer wants to pull you over and you are driving a classic car or a car with classic plates, that is not going to be the reason that you're getting an infraction of any kind. It's going to be for any other reason, and he may ask about, what's the nature of your trip today, and you could just say you're out for a drive. It's really, really hard to regulate that. It used to be with classic car insurance. That classic car insurance was predicated on the fact that you would only use the vehicle for parades and shows. Well, when was the last time you were in a parade with a car? Most people just don't put their car in parades. Now, some people do, but the end game was that it was just too restrictive and no way to enforce it. So most classic car insurance companies now, they will just insure your vehicle, and they understand that you're going to take care of it as you rightly should. And most classic car owners will take very good care of their cars and not abuse them. So,
yes. All right, we're down to 8:58.
yes.
There's 70 comments.
Yep.
Somebody just wrote, how many brilliant small vehicles, trucks, cars, and others have been declared persona non grata in North America under protectionist measures, aka safety compliance? Surprisingly enough, for the number of outlawed motorcycles on the same continent is very minimal. Thank you at Raffi for bringing this beauty of a truck to bring a trailer. All the best to those involved.
Yeah, it's interesting. These small trucks, they used to be everywhere, and they were smart vehicles because you could get a lot of value out of them. They offered great fuel economy. They not only were reliable and durable, they were actually very utilitarian. And the argument can be made to say that people are so used to having all the amenities, and car companies are so used to making a lot of money off the profit of a heavily loaded vehicle. So that's the reason why they don't make a vehicle like this anymore. But I do believe that if they made a mini truck again today, that it would sell quite well, and that people would enjoy having something like this again.
Yeah, and I look forward to seeing what this ends at. I still think this is, it's out of the range. Oh, we just got another $100 added.
What?
We're at 76 now.
Yeah.
And
I should point out real quickly, Dan, in the bidding, we're not dealing with 2 or 3 people fighting for the chance. There's 4 or 5 people that are in the over $7,000 range on this. So we could speculate on where this is going to end up. But what's always nice to see is how many people are actually bidding. And we just got another bid. And also scroll up a little bit higher, you'll see that close to 13,000 people have seen this. And what's interesting about that, just a little higher to the gray box, there you go, is that you can watch that counter increasing while we watch it. That's a lot of people to see a vehicle on Bring a Trailer that is not $100,000 specialty sports car. So that actually speaks well to the interest and enthusiasm for these cars. These are really, really sought after vehicles, again, especially original condition ones like this.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I thought, it's my son's birthday. If this was a lot cheaper, I might have gotten involved in bidding and taught him
Yeah,
how to drive a stick. And Please really wants it. Look at that. Please is
yeah.
now up to $7,900. Now, do you go in at some point while it's near the end and make a couple comments to kind of bring attention back to anybody that might not have it on their watch list? Or
I have already made my comments because I've spoken highly about the vehicle, given all the information. If you scroll down, you'll read some. The one I posted earlier this morning, basically just identifying for people the value in it and relating with other people that have told interesting stories. What I don't do is I don't interrupt when bidding is this close to the finish and those yellow bars start to stack up. I call that a bid stack. When the bid stack builds like that, it sends a message to people bidding that there is interest in this vehicle.
we're now at $8,000.
$8,000, yes. And with Bring a Trailer, they have a 5% premium that the buyer will pay. So the buyer pays $8,000 to the owner, and then 5% of $8,000 or $400 to Bring a Trailer.
Wow.
Yeah,
This is so much fun to watch, like right now, like the action's happening.
that's right. And you can see again, if you scroll down and look at the counter, we've added another 60 people to the watch or to the viewing of the auction while we've been on the air. So there's a lot of interest in this, and there'll be there's another bid, 8,100.
It's going to keep growing.
I think so.
So this is what we're doing for the next 4 minutes, and I have a feeling it's going to go a couple of bumps past.
It may bid past, yes.
Somebody says, not sure BAT allows you to hype your upcoming sale of a similar truck during this auction.
I don't know if somebody did
Draw
that.
Rod actually put a post in there. Let's see. I have a restored. I may put up and Bring a Trailer soon. These trucks are a lot of fun. Curious to see where this lands. He's not really promoting.
Yeah, and his is also restored, so it doesn't compete with this one. Because somebody who wants a restored one is a different buyer from somebody who's looking for an original one. So, you can also go in. If I didn't like that comment, I can flag it, and that will draw attention to the auction manager, who might then agree. So
I would not call that hyping, though.
No, I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think he hyped it.
Yeah, to me, he's not hyping. He's just saying, I'm curious where this is going to end.
Right.
Because also it is smart, because in a way he said, if somebody goes through and this one doesn't go, the high bidder doesn't get it.
Right.
The second high bidder, they may go, oh wait, this other guy's got a 68.
Right.
But look, 13,000 views. Someone will see his too.
Yes, and the end game on this is, if you're already in this far into wanting to bid, if you're any of these top 3 people that are still in the game, you're not going to be distracted by the hope that this person might bid it. Who knows what's going to happen? That guy could sell his, before the auction. So anything can happen.
So he zoomed in just on the current bid and the time, because now we're going to see the 2-minute mark will hit.
Right. And when the 2-minute mark hits, you'll see a yellow bar come across. That's called the bid bar. The bid bar tells you how much time is lapsing in that 2 minutes. Here it comes. There it is. And that yellow bid bar will give you sort of a sense of how that clock is ticking down. It gives you the timing on it. It's a similar thing to going once, going twice, which standard auction platform auctioneers usually do in the last minute of the auction. So they've done it with 2 minutes, and if we get a second bid, you'll see that clock will ratchet back up and all yellow will fill in again. At
Now,
1 minute,
if
it
nobody
tried
bids
that.
here, and now, do you think people are actually waiting to the last second and they're like, they want to do the drama?
Well, one of the things that happens in the last seconds is people do like to add to the drama.
All right, we have 1 minute to go. It's red now. I will be shocked if it doesn't get another bid.
Well, it'll be surprising to me if it doesn't, but at this point, um, I think people that are up in the last bids are thinking, okay, is it worth another this? Is it worth another that? Um, with numbers like with under $10,000 vehicles, $100 here, $100 there makes a difference to the buyer because they're thinking they're going to have to spend $2,000 to get it transported, et cetera, et cetera. So it can make a difference. But I often do see stuff come in the last seconds. Let's see if that'll happen today.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a bargain for whoever's buying it.
I think so too. I think this is a good buy for somebody who wants this truck.
Wow.
So we'll see how
the drama.
The drama.
5, 4, 3, 2. Wait, checking for last second bids.
Sold. There we
Wow,
go.
there you go. Did not get any extra. Please buy it.
All right. I'm going to send a little note to that. So I'm going to focus on his purchase right now.
And while we're doing that, I can talk. Let me click that off. Our good friend. Oh, Janice must know where it's located. It was here on Bainbridge. I'm getting a little bit of an echo all of a sudden. Is that coming from me or you? I'm going to mute your mic for one moment while you're typing. Janice, that's here on Bainbridge, that little red truck. Raffi was representing it. And Adam has a point that Tony would definitely try to influence the bidding. My cousin has a truck just like this. But real quick, I'm going to do the car of the week because our friend Ray Pepper, hello Ray, sent us a cool little car that I'm actually very interested in finding out more about. So I hope Ray jumps in and talks to us about it. So this will be our car of the week. All right, look at this baby. That's not a car you see every day. That is actually a very interesting car from way back when. Oh, Janet says her husband was bidding on that truck.
Oh.
He's not pleased, is he? Plees? Because if so, he won.
Oh, he's bringing it back to Oregon.
Oh, there you go. You're already chatting with the guy. Fantastic.
Yep.
So this car here is a blast from the past. And Ray just got this. I'm very interested in this car, Ray. I love these cars. In the comments, if anybody knows what this is before Ray, don't tell us yet, Ray. If anybody in the comments wants to talk about what this car is. And by the way, don't forget to like and love and all that stuff on this. It really helps that algorithm so we get more views of the show later on. Looks like Ray got some nice hubcaps thrown on this. I'm guessing Ray did the hubcaps. Maybe the dealer he bought it from did. But this is a car. It cannot get classic plates yet. I will say that. It's close, but it cannot get classic plates yet. But if you want to guess what this is, Adam got it right off the bat. It is a Buick Skylark. What about the year, Adam? If you can guess the year. I can't imagine this car went for that much money at the auction.
No.
These
are durable American cars from an era when General Motors was just beginning to get their act together, getting away from sort of the heavy laden old tech and moving into much more refined designs. You start to see things like the glass line, the upper part of the body blending into the bottom part of the body, but the bumpers are still way too big. And the overall heft of the vehicle is quite substantial. But if you enjoy a luxury ride and you don't like a lot of technology in your car, this is a great way to go because this is probably a low mile vehicle. Um, and, cars from this era, which is the 90s basically, they're very, very easy to repair, and they don't have a lot of confusing software or electronics. So they'll, if they're low mile vehicles, they'll last quite a bit of time.
Yeah, now this one is a 95. It only has 85,000 miles, and it's the original owner. So it was probably grandma's car or grandpa's car.
Wow.
I don't think this is a bring a trailer car. What do you think, Rafi? That's what Ray would like to know. It's not a stick shift. There's probably nothing very special about it. Although it's probably one of how many that are out there with
Yeah,
under 100,000 miles. But it's a 95 Buick Skylark.
It's just not rare enough. Yeah. If it had some special features, if it was ordered with a special engine, or if it had gone to a tuning factory that had added something special to it, or if it was tubbed in the rear and had 500 cubic inch engine, et cetera, et cetera. It is nice for what it is, but that's for a very specific market, and I don't think it would. I don't think it would do what it needs to do on Bring a Trailer.
I think Ray overpaid for it.
What did he pay? 600?
I'm just going by his comment.
What did he say?
Shit.
That's what he said.
That was his comment. That's it right there. He's in at $900. Okay, $900 is not horrible.
No.
As long as that's after fees. But with fees, that means you're $1,100, $1,200, $1,500. I mean, it could easily probably sell for $2,500 if you try to throw it on Craigslist, or I'm not sure what it will do at Stokes.
There's no doubt.
Adam wants to know if there are plastic seat covers on it. But no, the seats, I can tell they're cloth and they look really nice. If this was I don't know if they even made the Regal in 95. But what I would do with this car, even though it's a Skylark, is I would upgrade the engine, I would paint it black, and I would turn it into a Grand National knockoff, like a 90. Like what would a 95 Grand National look like?
There you go. Yeah, you'd have to black out the grill, put on wider wheels and tires. That could work.
I get the wheels that match kind of the wheels that were on. Maybe even find some Grand National wheels for it.
Yeah.
I tint the windows. I take off all the Skylark badging, put on the Grand National badging, put in some leather seats, and then you'd have a unique car.
Yep.
You'd have a one-off, but it'll probably cost $10,000 to make it. Good paint job, good wheels and tires.
Yeah.
Ray says, such a salesman. Janice says, no offense, but that's hideous. But Ray says, run smooth like a good shave.
Like a good shave.
It is kind of a base model.
Yeah, I'm looking down because I'm trying to keep track of some of the stuff coming in. I think I got a call from the buyer. Let me see here.
If you need to take it, take it.
No, I don't need to take it. I'm gonna message him, see if he'll.
Tell him to tune into the show.
Hang on one sec.
All right. So this is the car. Ray, I would give you $500 cash today for this car. So if you want to cut your losses now, I'm a buyer at $550. They're actually more sporty little cars. I remember when these came out. I mean, these are like the Pontiac Grand Am.
Do you have a picture of the interior? It's that probably velour gray. It's my guess. I don't think it's leather.
Do you have any other pictures, Ray? No, it's definitely not leather. It's definitely velour. Is the car black or green? It looks like it's green. Yes, it is velour gray.
Yes, velour gray, and that's like a deep metallic green, like an emerald green.
Yeah, the car is green. Now, who was selling this, Ray? Was this I'm guessing a trade-in from from one of the dealerships. And honestly, 900 is actually really not horrible. If you get a car that runs and drives for under $1,000 at the auction with under 100,000 miles, I don't care what year it is. It's from the Reardon Group, and it was a trade-in. They probably gave $300 on trade-in to the person that traded this in, maybe 500. So that's why they're 900. Let's make a quick few $100.
I think you're right. The truth about these cars is you're not only seeing fewer and fewer on the road. Many of them were just bought as just general transport. So they served their purpose. The people wrung them out. The first owner of these cars usually sold them within 3 to 5 years, or they kept them forever. And if they sold them within 3 to 5 years, they sold them for probably $4,000 to $5,000. And then the next owner drove it as an interim car before they got a nicer car that they wanted. And then the values just trickled down until they became $1,500 cars. The problem with cars like this is when they end up needing $1,500 worth of brakes for a $1,500 car, you just look at it and you go, what's the point? And then it just gets further and further down, and then it's not even worth the new tires on the vehicle, unless it's your car and you say, look, I'm going to drive this car forever. I'm just going to keep driving it. And so it makes sense to keep it and enjoy it. I mean, you're showing here so here's one with 85,000 miles. You're plugging
So I changed it to 85,000 miles, and it says private party value is around $2,000.
Yeah. And now that's if you find a buyer for it. And the buyer for this car is somebody who is looking for something unique that you're not going to see everywhere. Now you're looking at 4 doors there. There's the 2-door. So it's a better looking car. But again, I challenge you to even find another one of these on the road. You're not going to find them in the Midwest because most of them rusted out completely. You're not going to find them back east because they're just not, for the same reason, they're not going to be able to stand up to the weather. So where you would find them is on the West Coast or in drier climates. And we're on the West Coast. And when was the last time you saw one on the road?
Yeah.
That's it.
This is an RS. This is the sport version that they did. Yeah.
And that's a 30-year-old car. Think of that.
So here are 3 for sale nationwide.
Yes.
There's one for $19.99, one for $39.95, and one for $42.50. But they're all 4 doors.
Yeah.
And only one's in $95. There's $297. So there's only 3 in the entire country.
Right.
For sale right now.
And Ray's done a good job by buying it, because all of his senses about the value of that vehicle are spot on. That is a valuable vehicle because you just don't see them anymore. And if it's in good condition and the interior doesn't smell like somebody's dead grandmother, then it's great.
Ray, you're gonna have to Google that yourself. I don't know.
Yeah, look, the production numbers on American cars like this, it's hard to find. European cars, a rare number. It's much easier to find the production numbers. You can find the production number for pretty much every Porsche ever built. Those are pretty much public records. Other cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, desirable, expensive, high-end cars, absolutely. But production for American...
Found it.
Did you?
Yeah, look at that. 1995, they only made 9,700 total units.
Of the 2-door.
Of the 2-door. 43,000 of the 4-door.
Yeah. So 10,000 is not rare in number, but I would suspect that there's probably fewer than 1,000 now on the road, and that would not be unusual for that series car.
Ray's going to be, bless you, Ray's going to be rich. Look at him. He's excited now.
The best thing to do with that car is put it into local Craigslist or if you have the patience for it, put it on eBay. For a car like that, eBay is a pretty good way to go.
He's probably going to take it to Stokes.
Take it to Stokes.
Which we'll get some local bids. But honestly, then you're just getting local people that you need a nationwide audience for that car.
Yes.
Because there might be somebody that has, he's very impatient. He said there might be somebody out there that was their high school car.
Yeah.
And they see it on an auction and they buy it. I mean, the mid 90s, I remember the mid 90s very well. So there you go. If you have any other questions or any other comments, you can put them in the comment section. Janice has something off topic. She enjoyed the pilot. What's next? Well, we're still doing some edits. We're still doing, we're actually reshooting a tiny little thing next week. And we'll probably do another screening locally. We're looking to maybe do one at the Roxy Theater in Bremerton.
Yeah.
And then fingers crossed, it'll start making its way to some of the networks through our executive producer team.
Yeah. And in addition to the activities on the pilot, one of the things that we're talking about in terms of future scripts is how much of the two plots, how much plot and subplot do we mix in there? How much?
I already know that answer. It's 4. There's 4 storylines in every show, just like Seinfeld. We're going to copy Seinfeld. Why wouldn't we copy Seinfeld?
Well, yeah, but how much of it and how do you weigh it? Like some episodes will have more of this, some episodes will have more of that.
Janice does say, what's Tony's accent?
Tony's accent sort of mix of lots of different things. We try not to make it ethnically significant in one particular area. It's too much of one thing, then you're making fun of one country. So this way, it's just a blend of all people I've known, Mediterranean, perhaps even Middle Eastern, some Italian, some European, some from Arkansas. So
Arkansas. Oh, our Irish friend is finally here. Your tardiness is excused.
He missed all the fun, all the action.
Yes, hot rolls are ready.
Yes, if you are in the area, stop in at Jake's Pickup, just off 305. Fantastic. Arkansas, yes, of course. My family, everybody.
No. We didn't do that where I grew up in Arkansas. So in a way, we've done old school already.
Yes, but
Do you have another car?
I've got an old school on tap here, and we'll roll with it.
Here we go.
All right, and here we are again. It's been another week, and so it's time for another old school. I don't struggle generally to find an old school vehicle to feature here because, let's face it, there are quite a few of them. But sometimes when you're out looking and thinking, what have I not done enough old school of? One of the ones that came up was I have not done enough British old school vehicles. So this week, we're going to go old school with what I think is probably one of the best British cars made. It's versatile, it's exciting, it's convertible, and it's easy to maintain, easy to restore, and that is the MGB. Now, the MGB was a car that was manufactured from 1962 to 1980. So they made a lot of them during that time period, including some variants, including the MGB GT, which had a V8 engine, if you can believe that, small car V8 engine. Also the MGC, which had the inline 6-cylinder engine. And of course, the MGB, which had the B engine, which was the 4-cylinder. And that's really the one we want to talk about today. You can see a photo here Dan just pulled up. This is probably a mid to late 70s MGB.
74.
Says 74. Okay. And you'll notice that because this has some of the side marker lights and turn indicators. These cars in order to come into the United States, needed to have some of the features and trim added. This particular one here has the larger, heavier rubber bumper, which was added on so that it could pass US bumper standards. This is the coupe version, which was actually very nice because it gave you the opportunity for a little more body rigidity, whereas the convertible would flex a little bit more. So if you wanted more performance, if you wanted a car that could take a little more torque and horsepower, this was a great way to go, because the roof line connected down to the rest of the body made the body more stiff. And so a lot of people could take these cars and go racing and go rallying with them. So this one here, this is a custom bodied MGB. I can't remember the person who did the body work on this one, but
Jacques Cornet.
Okay. So one-off body design. I think they planned to make more, but I don't think they did. There's another MG. This one might be the V8 with the hood opening, the way it stretches over the front of the car. So these cars came in a variety of different configurations. They were not heavy horsepower cars, manual shift, but boy, you could have an awful lot of fun with them. Put the top down, put a picnic basket in the back, and off you'd go through the countryside. These were ideal for European and British small sort of touring roads. When they came to the United States, unfortunately, people bought them and drove them on the freeway. And they're not the best cars to get into and drive for long stretches of time at 60 to 65 miles an hour. So they just weren't built for that. So they kind of got a bad rap because they came with Lucas Engineering or electricals, which was oftentimes problematic. But once you get all that sorted out, you'll find that they can be really reliable and durable companions. Now, this black one is the final series. I believe this is a 79. And this is the last of the MGB, because that was the final year that they offered them in the United States. I think they made them until 1980, but I don't think the US imported a 1980 model. This is a triple black special edition. And it is known to both Dan and me because our good friend Kevin Bernstein has one and has had it for a long time. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he even owned it twice.
Yes, that was the story I was going to tell real quick. Is our friend Kevin, his father had a 79 black on black, and there was an error on the VIN on the title where the 5 and the S were confused or something, and he then found one that looked exactly like his father's. And then when he got the title, went to register it, it also had an error on the title in the same spot. So he's like, this might be, he couldn't find the actual VIN of his father's, but he knew that it had that error.
Yeah.
It also had that error on the title. And in the 4th of July parade during COVID, so back in 2020, my son and I drove his car. We drove around the island. So we did a parade in the islands. Everybody stayed in their cars. And I kept driving around going, I'm waving everybody saying, I'm in the loser car. It's got the big British flag on the side, and it's the 4th of July parade.
You were representing the loser.
I represented the losers.
Well, and you can see there's a stylized version of the Union Jack on the rocker panel there. So you can see the British flag, which is, yes. But this car, this series came with the stripes, came with the cast alloy wheels. I believe it had a slight boost in horsepower. It had a luggage rack on the trunk, which is really interesting because if you think about it, you strap your luggage to the outside. And that's sort of an added feature to have that rack to strap the luggage to. And then convertible top. You need a good heater in this car because with the top down or up, it does not stay warm. So if you live in cool climate and you want to have a car like this, make sure it has a good heater, or I recommend heating vests, which are great for convertible cars. You put them on and you plug them into your power port, and boy, it keeps you plenty warm while driving.
Now, here's the amazing thing. I just right on Craigslist.
Yes.
First one. Here's a 79 MGB. Let's do one of the pictures a little bit.
Yeah. Looks like it's in good shape.
The odometer shows there's the luggage rack.
Yeah.
Looks like the seats have been redone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The odometer shows 77,000. They go, it may have been turned over. We're not sure. I don't think this has 177,000 miles.
No, I'm going to say, I was going to suggest that there's not a chance in the world that it has 177,000. 77,000 is actually quite a few miles for a car like that. And again, here, I didn't get a chance to say it, but I would be surprised if this is more than $10,000.
It's about half of that, $5,500.
Yeah. Which is really what it takes. Now, it's odd that it doesn't have the hood attached. Are they selling it as a project?
No, here's what it says. It's his dad's 79 MGB, shows 73, maybe rolled over, zero rust, his little pet project for the last 5 years, lots done mechanically and to the interior, paint and bodywork done by previous owner, and is a 6-footer. So when you get up close, you can see imperfections. Has a dent in the left front fender, some other minor scuff mark. Runs great, drives and stops with only a few test miles since completed. Engine, transmission, and rear end were all out of the car for full rebuild inspections. Under the hood is immaculate with lots of detail. Weber 3236 conversion, new hoses, wires, Pertronics, ignition, and much more. Monza exhaust with header, manual choke, 4-speed non-overdrive. All suspension is all new with lowering kit installed. New brakes all around with new hydraulics and lines. We have the hood and front spoiler not shown in the pictures. Interior has new carpet, fitted aftermarket seat covers. Everything else clean and working. Top is good but not new, but in nice shape. Has top boot cover, all LE wheels, fully restored with 5 new tires. Permanent registration collector plates. Car is located in Linden. I can assist with shipping if needed. I'm sure I'm forgetting some details. I mean, $5,500 or best offer, and all that work has been done?
That's pretty darn good. I mean, if you think about what you're getting, and $5,500, you could probably buy that car for $5,000. I don't think they'd hem and haw too much. If you offered $5,000, they'd probably go, "Would you do $5,200?"
So I would start at 4. I'd start at 4 and let them end up at 5. That's how low I would go.
Yeah, and look, how many convertible sports cars can you get today from the vintage arena for $5,000? If you went looking for a Miata, you'd probably pay $7,000-8,000 for a decent Miata. And Miatas are great cars, but they're still everywhere. So in an MG, that's really quite a good price. And it's an exciting little car, and it's more or less done.
Now here's the project one.
Yeah.
That's very much in not good condition.
This car is going to need $30,000 to $50,000,
and including an engine.
Yeah.
And it's $1,500 for the body. 167,000 miles.
Yeah.
So that other one is quite a deal.
Yeah. Somebody wants an MG, and believe me, these are fun cars. They're easy to use, easy to own. They're not expensive. Just oil changes and keep track of the fluids and drive them. That's the other thing. What happens to a lot of these cars is people drive them, they park them in their garage, and they go, "That's my collector car," and then they forget that they're supposed to be driving them.
Yeah. And with a convertible, sometimes it's hard, especially that one. I don't think I could drive in it with the top up. I think my head would be pushing up against it.
Yeah, probably.
But every time I mention to Kevin, like when I see one, I go, "What's this worth?" He goes, "Nothing. Don't buy it."
Yes.
And he's an owner, and he's like, "Don't get it. Don't get it. Don't get it." But I mean, he could have a second car for $5,500.
Yeah. If you want to have fun, it's a great way to have fun. It's and collector cars. You have to have some kind of sentimental connection.
In Ireland, they're always on the road there.
That's good. That's good to hear. Well, also if you have one and it's a vinyl interior car, and you're not afraid to bring it home and drive it in the rain, as long as it's not a driving rain. If it's a misty rain or if it's a light rain, or so what? I've driven convertibles in the rain. You come home, you dry it out. You take out a towel, you wipe down the seats, you clean everything off, you make sure it's dry, you put the heater next to it, and you're in good shape. It's not the end of the world if your car gets a little damp from being out on the road. It's a roadster. It's supposed to. True roadsters don't have tops at all. So
and if you have the windows up and you're going fast enough, you won't get wet at all.
That's right.
It's good old aerodynamics.
Yeah.
Then you get a little bit wet.
And it's not the end. Like I said, it's not the end of the world. I've been in a convertible and caught in a downpour, and I was about 8 miles from home, and I kept looking for a place to pull in somewhere where I could be undercover something. Couldn't find anywhere to be undercover. Finally, I pulled under a section that had some trees overhanging. That helped, but it was clear it wasn't going to end, so I just got on the highway and plowed home, and got home and pulled it in the garage and wiped it down, dried it out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, any other questions? Excuse me.
Well, before we sign off, let's do gas prices.
That's what I was going to say. If we have any other questions, put them in here. And while we're waiting,
how much is gas where you live?
All right.
We like to talk about gas.
Yes. Gas prices have been fluctuating. They were down for quite some time, and now they're back up again.
They're slightly down today over yesterday, though.
Slightly down. Okay. All right.
348.2 is the national average.
348. Okay. I'm gonna go with Texas for lowest price this week.
And you are correct.
Texas for lowest unleaded. All right. And
how about lowest diesel? Who's got the lowest diesel?
Oh, that's a tough one. I wonder if Alaska has the lowest diesel.
No.
Not even close.
Not even close.
That was a wild guess, but I'm going to go with Oklahoma for the lowest diesel.
You're right on. Wow. $4.
$4. And that's, maybe you can explain this to me. I've tried several times to figure it out. Diesel takes less money and less time to refine. So diesel fuel should be the cheaper fuel.
It usually was.
And it was for the longest time. I think a lot of people bought diesel cars because the fuel was cheaper. Now
we got better gas mileage.
It's quite a bit more now.
It's 90 cents more on average.
Yeah.
On the low end.
Yeah. And who has the highest priced gas?
Hawaii.
Is that
all over? $4.29 regular, $5.15 mid, $5.39 premium, and $6.05 for diesel.
Wow. $6 for diesel. That's astonishing. The other thing
so if it's taxed more, I don't think diesel's taxed any more than regular gas here.
Is it the same in Ireland? Is diesel more than regular fuel? That's something that I'd be curious about, because I don't know if the same pricing strategy applies in Europe or...
There are way more diesels in Europe, correct?
Well, yes, that's true. They use it more, and it's more typically... It's a
lot more there.
Wow. It might be due to tax, but then again, for diesel on a volume basis is much higher, because diesel is used in commercial, military, far greater volume than standard automotive transportation. So I don't understand why that variance exists to the extent that it does. For the most part, it should be at parity, or because it is cheaper to refine, it should be less.
Adam says gas is starting to increase again, which is worrisome.
Yeah.
And diesel is 160 to 170 per 1
That's
pounds.
a pound per liter.
Yeah.
Yeah, or per pound per liter.
Wow.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. You know, the during the time when diesel fuel was offered for passenger vehicles, I want to say in the United States we got them in the early to mid 70s. I think diesel Mercedes were the first ones I remember seeing. And at that time, diesel fuel was considerably less, but it was harder to find. You had to go to fueling stations that serviced fleet vehicles. Um, and I remember like the 74, 75, 76, and I believe they brought them into the United States because of the fuel crisis. And so that was a motivation for a lot of people to get a diesel powered vehicle. And I remember that one of the processes of early diesel was you turn the key and wait before you start it because the glow plugs had to heat up, then start it.
Yep. Eric, growing up, had the Volkswagen Rabbit diesel, and I remember we had to sit there and wait for the glow plugs.
Yep.
Adams asks, maybe diesel production has been slowed down, and that's raising the price. I know our supply was like at 25 days.
That's possible as well.
Why would that be? What would cause that?
Maybe we'll dig in deeper and see what we can find. There's a lot of speculation. I've read speculation online when I've just searched generally, just for my own curiosity. But I'd sure like to know what the real reason is behind it, or if it's a singular reason, because especially in recent years, it's been quite a bit more. Now, diesel technology has changed quite a bit in private transportation vehicles. Mercedes has Blue Tech, I think is what it's called, for their diesel, which is a cleaner burning diesel. But again, you're still using diesel fuel. So I don't know what the advantage is in that circumstance. Diesel powered vehicles get better fuel economy, but on a price per gallon basis for the savings, I don't think it translates.
Well, I just went on to ChatGPT and I asked it. I said, write a story. Tell a story as to why diesel fuel is so much more expensive than regular gas today.
Okay.
So it says, once upon a time, diesel fuel was relatively cheaper than regular gasoline because it was mainly used for commercial and industrial purposes, such as operating heavy-duty trucks and machinery. However, over time, the demand for diesel fuel increased as more people started using it in their personal vehicles due to its improved fuel economy and lower carbon emissions. At the same time, the global oil market was facing several challenges, such as political instability in major oil-producing countries, Ukraine, I added that, and increased demand from rapidly growing economies. These factors led to an increase in crude oil prices, which in turn caused the price of diesel and gasoline to go up. Additional governments around the world started implementing policies aimed at reducing greenhouse gas emissions, which led to the production of more expensive, cleaner diesel fuels. This further added to the cost of diesel. As a result, today, diesel fuel is generally more expensive than regular gasoline, and the price difference can vary depending on various factors such as location, tax policies, and fluctuations in the global oil market. That is AI that wrote that. Instantly.
The problem with that is that's not an explanation, that's a definition of the problem.
True.
It speculates around the possibilities, and when you read it, your brain reads it with the notion, especially because it's coming from AI, that, oh my gosh, that's amazing how it's making all those connections, and it's a machine.
I said, be more specific and don't speculate.
Yeah.
Now, diesel fuel is more expensive than regular gas due to several reasons. Refining costs, it's cleaner and contains more energy compared to gasoline. More crude oil is required to produce a gallon. I thought that was the opposite.
Yeah, it should be.
Diesel has a lower vapor pressure compared to gasoline, which makes it easier to transport through pipelines. However, diesel fuel is usually transported over longer distances than gasoline. Supply and demand.
I think the only reason why, quite frankly, is because gas prices have gone up, and gas prices have been lured into the sort of market fluctuation zone, that diesel just comes along because it's part of the petrochemical industry.
I'm having a problem about you.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, Raffi, with eyes so bright, sold his truck, a beautiful sight. A 1972 Datsun 521. A classic piece, but that's just the one. That's just the one. It's been with him through thick and thin, through roads both smooth and rough within, but now it's time to say goodbye. A new owner's waiting with a sigh. Bring a Trailer was the place where Raffi could show off his grace. The truck's curves and shining paint, a true beauty, not a feint. Bids came pouring in like a flood from folks who loved his truck as much as Raffi could. At the end, it sold for more than Raffi ever thought before. The Datsun now belongs to someone new, but Raffi's love for it will forever be true. For the memories and joy it brought will forever be deeply wrought. So here's to Raffi and his truck, a tale of love and luck. May the roads ahead be bright for the Datsun and its new owner alike.
You can tell whenever you ask ChatGPT to write a poem, it immediately searches every single Hallmark card ever written.
Yes.
And it just writes that.
Now our friend Stacy, who's actually her husband Wade, is on Stacy's phone, says in winter months, home heating fuel is about the same process and competes with diesel. That's why it goes up in winter months. Main reason for diesel price as high is there's much higher fuel tax on a gallon.
So,
and yes. Wade is on Stacy's phone.
So a higher tax, a higher tax would affect the price, I think, to some extent. But what we're seeing is almost $1 variance in per gallon price. I think you can attribute maybe 20 to 30 cents of that variance to taxes, but much more than that, I'd really be surprised that it's that heavily taxed.
It's a 2 cent difference in federal taxes on our average. It's a 6 cent difference. Federal tax is 18.4 cents on gas, 24.4 on diesel, but the average state tax is 31.6 on gas and 33.4 on diesel. So there's a little bit of a fluctuation, and I think that's got to be new because it was always the cheaper of the two.
Yes,
by a lot. Like I remember even recently, I would say since I lived here, I remember diesel being like 99 cents at one point. Oh, yeah. When gas was in the twos.
Yes. Yeah. I remember
we thought of getting a diesel car.
Well, and there were several times when I remember driving and seeing gas and filling up and thinking, man, I need to get a diesel powered car. You know, it's so much cheaper. It just didn't last.
And then Volkswagen was lying about the miles per gallon.
Yeah, Volkswagen. That's a whole other story.
But I thank them because we now have Electrify America, where I can charge my car. Where I will charge today when I go to Wingstop.
There you go.
Plug in at the charger, and in 30 minutes, I add 150 to 160 miles to my car for free.
And on that note, a happy birthday to Josh.
Yes, Josh yes.
18 today. How did that happen?
Time. It just keeps moving forward.
Crazy.
But we will be back next week. Monday, if you're a film fan, we have the Dan Film Festival. And we've got a couple of movies. Mercedes' Blue Tech and VW's Blue Motion.
Blue Motion, that's it.
There you go. And there was a comment from Jake about gas. Oh, here it is. Straight up diesel. It feels more expensive because it makes more power. A diesel pickup has 910 pounds of torque versus gas at 450.
Well, diesel might be more productive as an output in a power transfer. I don't know if its volumetric efficiency is substantially higher than gasoline, but it's not marketed as a higher performance product. It's marketed as a fuel alternative to traditional petrochemicals for the miles per gallon value on the dollar basis. So while you might be right, Jake, and I'll do some research on that, I know that torque from diesel-powered engines is a big advantage, which is why it's used primarily in commercial grade vehicles. But I've never heard of diesel fuel being sold as a more efficient, volumetrically more efficient fuel based on a per gallon performance perspective.
Performance perspective. All right. On that note, which I'm totally confused by, we'll just go with the show ending. We'll see you next week.
Yes, we will.
Which is on the 11th.
Yes, the day before the Stupid Bowl.
Right. We'll talk about the Stupid Bowl next time. Maybe we'll do a little betting, a little gambling.
Yes.
Legal, of course, the legal version.
Legal version.
All right. Have a good one, everybody.
See ya.